Good evening. It's Sunday night and Agent Paranormal is back. We are so glad to have you here. And tonight we are talking vampires. So stay tuned. The show's about to begin. Here we are. We're back live in the studio at Disruption Network here in Utica, New York. And tonight we're talking vampires. So in studio, I got Travis and Steph. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me.
So first and foremost, I've got to make a huge shout out to all the event staff and everything with the Sci-Fi and Horror Fest in Vernon Downs this weekend. That was amazing. Thank you so much for hosting that and allowing us to be there. And also thank you to all the groups and everyone that we made connections with. It was phenomenal. I will be the first one to say right here on the show that if you have it again next year, we will be back.
Absolutely. It was an awesome time. Great experience with all the talent and the behind-the-scenes people. Everyone was amazing. I will say that.
I'm so jealous. So jealous. I wish I could have been there. It looked awesome.
You were there in spirit. I mean, we had the shows running, and you were there.
Yeah, you were
got
there.
Noticed. People weren't like, oh, hey, I know you. They were like, Stuff?
You're famous.
Yeah, Stuff. So, all right, let's hop into it. Let's talk vampires.
Yes.
Everybody
Let's.
loves vampires. I mean,
Well,
why not?
what's not to love?
Especially,
really, you know?
especially
All
Twilight,
sparkles.
right?
No, vampires do not sparkle. And in fact, that's what I wanted the title of this show to be called. Vampires do not sparkle.
Oh, I like that.
Are you sure? Pretty sure they sparkle.
Oh no. Good God, why?
That one's for Pete. That's Pete's favy.
I think Pete more or less like the female vampires in that one.
Oh, we got Salvatore. He's going, yeah, rock on. And we have Courtney, Steph's sister, saying, hey, guys.
Ah.
Hey,
Let's see.
Courtney.
Hi, Courtney. Thanks for showing up. See, we bring Steph
Yes.
on. We increase our viewership.
My sister. She's my only fan.
All right. So let's start talking vampires. Steph?
Yes.
When you
Yes.
think of vampires, where do you go to?
I
Don't
mean,
say Twilight. No Twilight.
obviously Twilight. Now, it's funny because I feel like, if you think of like movies and things, they're very dramatic, they're gothy, they're action packed, and I love personally like What We Do in the Shadows or like Only Lovers Left Alive because they're more indie. I was like, I like when they came up with like the indie version of vampires.
I love What We Do in the Shadows. That the movie and the series is hysterical.
Yeah, so good.
I don't have a drop into that one. I'm sorry, guys.
What? You got some homework, sir. You watched that
Yeah.
show. But like
So-
the movie was a little more indie. The show's not as like indie, but it's amazing. So funny.
Yeah. So let's jump to Travis then. Well, before we keep going on, Travi, come on, tell us.
Listen, growing up, I was a huge horror nerd. I come home from kindergarten. We had half-day kindergarten back then. And when I got home, my mom would have popcorn made, or she'd order a pizza, and we'd sit on the couch and we'd watch the monster movie matinee. It was a local monster, and they always showed the old cheesy like 1950s, 60s movies. But that's where I really got my first introduction into vampires at like 5 years old, watching movies with my mom on the couch. And they played the classics, the Bela Lugosi Dracula, but then it was like the Blackula, the cheesy exploitation movies and stuff. Huge into vampires when I was younger. Bought all the books. Not the novels per se, but the research books. no Twilight. But so I've been researching vampires pretty much my whole life. So. It's been a huge topic, and then it got huge. Pop culture has always been huge with vampires.
Yeah.
But I love just the history behind it. It kind of goes along hand in hand with our paranormal investigations. I love the history of it. Figuring out where the myths and stuff came from, and they pretty much originated in Romania, Wallachia, that area. The current present day vampires, but you go back to even further, and there's always, every culture has a vampiric being, that drains, blood, life force, whatever it is,
Yep.
You go back, to the dawn of man, and there's these folk tales and history of these creatures that drain our blood or life force. So
I think it's funny that I'm on the show right now with two redheads. But.
Do I think they're real? Yeah, I do. I don't think, maybe not the Bela Lugosi real, but yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I do believe that, and there's actually scientific evidence to back up like the psychic vampire, the energy drainer, that's huge. And there's been huge articles written about that where you can tell someone walks into a room and you're feeling a little drained, or and they're a little more energetic, and they say a lot of times that the psychic vampire doesn't even realize they're doing it. They suck your energy, and they're feeding off your aura, your psychic energy, and they don't even realize it. It's just a subconscious thing that happens.
I actually never heard of a psychic vampire until What We Do in the Shadows. Yeah, that was the first time I'd heard of that.
Yeah, no, it's old.
We could delve into it a little bit farther later on, but I mean, psychic vampires actually go into spiritual vampires too. There are spirits that actually use your energy, just like a vampire would, and there is also be taking energy from other spirits, so the ones that feed off other spirits so that they can be stronger. So those are the places where you go into where it's like there's a dominant male spirit that is holding back all the other spirits because he's using their energy to project himself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get the movies and everything out of the way because I know that's what a lot of people are going to be wanting to see here, and they're like, they're talking vampires. I hope they show my favies. So let's pull some up. Since Travis already brought them up.
Bela
Lugosi. Good evening.
I don't drink wine.
So Bela Lugosi, I mean, he actually never really liked the Dracula role.
No.
There was a lot of accounts of him saying he didn't like being typecast.
And that's exactly what happened to him his whole career after that.
I mean, he did White Zombie. But in the end, after he passed, he actually had it written that he wanted to be buried in the Dracula costume, and he was.
Yep. Yes, he was.
And he's buried at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
If you say so.
I believe he's in the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. And they have numerous accounts of people seeing Dracula roaming the grounds, which is actually the spirit of Bela Lugosi.
I love that cemetery. I know it's a weird thing to say, but I do love that cemetery.
So, name some other vampires. Let's see if I can do some drop-ins for you.
One of my all-time favorite movies. Well, I got a couple, but Vampires with James Woods, based off the book. There you go.
There he is.
Jack Crow. The book was Vampires Inc., written by John Stakely, which was an amazing book. The book is quite a bit different than the movie, but the premise is the same, and he played Jack Crow to a T. I love that movie.
I believe that is Pete's favorite, too. You've never seen that?
I've never seen it. I know. I thought I've seen
my
all of
gosh.
them, but I've never seen it.
You
I
gotta
know.
see
I'm
that.
sorry. I shouldn't be on here today. I'm leaving.
Yeah, sorry everybody for watching, but Steph
Wrong
is
show.
leaving us now.
Directed by John Carpenter.
It's a John C.
I'm
man.
on it.
Yeah, you definitely got to see that movie. It's a great movie. It's a fun movie to watch. And if you check out the book by John Stakely, Vampires Inc., which it was based off of, it's even better.
All right, let's go a little further back now.
Nosferatu, which was actually a Dracula ripoff, but they didn't have the rights to Dracula, so
Yep.
they came up with Count Orloff.
Count Olaf. And now he's a snowman.
Yes.
Oh my god.
And that was another amazing, the original was silent film,
Yep.
but just the cinematography that they had back then,
Yep.
the special effects, the wipes and the
lighting
dissolves
effects,
and stuff. Yeah.
Beautiful work.
Amazing. And then
Yeah.
Salem's Lot,
Yep.
Toby Hooper, the made-for-TV one, he based that vampire off Nosferatu with the front
Yep.
teeth, the more rat-like appearance and everything, which is one of the scariest.
Salem's Lot on here. I'm sorry.
That's one of the scariest. When I was a kid and watching that one scared me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. I love the interpretations too of like how different people do the fangs in each movie. They're always little different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go
Like Lost Boys, how it's like front teeth too.
Yeah. Oh, Lost Boys.
How are those maggots, Michael?
But they didn't stand a chance.
Not against the Frog Brothers. And they're remaking that, which just totally disturbs me. That's robbing my childhood. I think that came out in, 84? I remember sneaking into the movies. I was a little bit young for the R rating, or was it PG-13 or R? I can't remember. I remember I was a little young to watch it, and I lied about my age, and they gave me the look. You sure? Yeah. That's all I am, and they let me in. It was awesome.
Nice.
That is by far my favorite vampire movie is Lost Boys. I mean, you can't get past the sexy sax man. Come on, everybody loves that scene.
Yes.
That was Joel Schumacher directed that. That was like the last good movie I think he ever directed, because Batman and Robin.
Oh.
But no, it was an awesome movie. It hit every vampire trope, really. The have to be invited in, the daytime familiars, drinking of the blood. It like hit all the tropes that modern day what we think of vampire. They did, and it was done perfectly.
Yep. And actually, there's one of the big things you're seeing on social media and everything going around is the one scene right after the Frog Brothers kill Marco. Spoiler alert. and then Kiefer Sutherland's character goes to reach for him and ends up burning himself in the sunlight, and then you see the teardrop.
Yeah.
That was actually total accidental, because the contacts they wore, they said it was so painful that everybody's eyes were watering, and it just happened to be right at that moment they caught that single teardrop drop straight down on his cheek and run down, and it was like, oh, that is movie magic right there.
Yeah, it is. Oh my gosh.
Amazing. And again, my sister was obsessed with that movie when I was younger. Like, I couldn't say anything bad about she wanted to be a vampire, because every kid at some point, what their favorite movie they want to be, and she hated Star because she was the female of the group and she wanted to be Star, and I used to, hang crosses and stuff on her door. My father would yell at me, "You can't do that." Oh, well.
I did.
What you gonna do, Dad?
All right, let's head back in the 80s. This is one of my favorites.
Monster Squad. Love it.
This was one of those movies that I love to be scared of, because it was just so campy and everything, but at the same time, they did a hell of a job making it pretty damn scary.
And it was pretty real, because the Wolfman does have nards.
The name is Horace.
But yeah, again, it hits all the tropes, and that, Dracula. I forget the actor's name in that one, but
I couldn't tell you right now.
Yeah, he won all kinds of accolades for that. His portrayal, he did just an amazing job. You know.
But you, Steph, you got that look on your face like I've never seen Monster Squad.
If you've never seen Monster Squad, just take yourself off and then go start plugging movies in.
Bye.
Oh my God.
All right. Also, I can't see the images you're posting, so you guys are like, I love this, and I'm like, I'm gonna wait till they say what it is.
Oh, that's our bad. It's like,
All good.
look at this, and you're like,
What are they talking about?
I'm looking at myself.
Me too,
This is
guys.
great.
Totally understand what you're doing.
So, okay, I won't do that to you anymore. So what I'm gonna do now
cool.
is I'm gonna throw up a picture of Eddie Murphy.
This wasn't as bad a movie as they made out. It just didn't know if it wanted to be a comedy or horror comedy. It went back and forth between all of them.
So yeah, that
That's a
was
fair
vampire in Brooklyn there stuff. So
Yeah, that one I know. Yeah.
Did you see that one?
I did a long time ago, but yes.
come on, everybody's gotta love those movies.
You know,
You know,
even the worst vampire movie is still pretty good. So
True.
whatever you say. This is the last image I have for drop-ins. We can't go without talking about Interview with a Vampire.
remaking that too. It was pretty good. You know, as with everything Tom Cruise is cast in, I'm always, kind of, I don't know. But he did an excellent job as Lestat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a little
Honestly,
over the
I
top.
know everyone loves. Yeah, he was the best. I know everyone loved like Queen of the Damned, but like, it was like, why would you even try to make a second? Like, Interview with the Vampire was magical. It was so perfect. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the actors hated doing it, but
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
apparently Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt were at wits' end with each other, but
Oh,
at the same
really?
time, they did a magical job doing it. I mean, actually, if they were fighting, it only made it better.
Because they had that love-hate relationship, and
Yep.
another one where the book is definitely better than the movie, but
Yeah.
it was still a very good movie. It was very well done, I thought.
So-
Lestat
How do you feel
Davenport.
the series is gonna do?
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of.
Yeah.
She wrote a lot of books. There's a lot of mythology to it. So if they can tap into that, and I don't know. With her gone, Anne Rice, passing away, I don't know if they can translate the magic as well as she could have. With consultations and stuff. But we'll see. I'll give it a chance. I give all horror series
Yeah,
and
me
movies a
too.
chance.
All right. So now we got the movies, the books, all that out of the way. So let's talk about real vampires. How many have you met, Steph?
I've met many. Yes. No. I've met 0 vampires.
Travis?
Emotional vampires and probably psychic vampires. Yes, I mean, we all know that person that walks in the room, like I said earlier, and drains you. Emotional vampires. Some roommates with their ex-girlfriends. I think I even accused one of my roommates' ex-girlfriends being an emotional vampire in my younger years. As far as the sanguinary diet ones, no, I don't believe I have.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I've ever met any either, but I mean, there are plenty throughout history.
Oh yeah,
I
history.
wonder if we'd even remember. They'd probably just hypnotize us and be like, "You forgot this."
These are not the droids you're looking for.
Was it the Louisiana vampires? That serial case?
Yeah. I think there was a show on it for a little bit, saying, and that's exactly what happened. They go to all the, the red light district and all the party times, because it's who remembers after partying at Mardi Gras anyways.
Yep.
And the people are going, well, we met somebody there. It seemed a little off, but, who knows?
Yep. And then there's the ones that claim to be vampires that ended up killing. Is it the girlfriend's parents or whatever? They like all broke into the house and murdered the parents and drank their blood or something like that. That was.
Yeah,
It was like early 2000s, late 90s, something like that.
Yeah, I believe it was the late 90s, like you said. But yeah, there's actually groups of people out there that live the vampire lifestyle, and they use razor blades, and there's all kinds of rules. You know, you only drink from people that allow it. You use clean razor blades. It's, you know, just a subset. You know, yeah, not something I want to do. And as a normal human being, you don't digest blood.
Yeah.
You know, it just doesn't happen in your stomach, so. It's not something a normal human can live off of, but they get some kind of gratification out of doing it. And as long as it's consensual adults and they're not killing people, well, have at it. More power to you.
Yeah, to each their own, you know?
Yeah. Repeat after me. You do not have permission to enter my house. You hold no power over me.
And we only serve garlic bread.
Yeah. Garlic pizza. But yeah, like we said earlier, every culture has some sort of vampiric being, you know, that drains either blood. You know, even if you look at like the incubus and the succubus, you know, they're draining life force and seminal fluids. They're draining life in one way or another. You know, and they go back to pre-Bible times. You know, the belief in them. So.
Well, I mean, it's not complete vampire culture, but I mean, there are many cultures that bathe in blood or treat skin with blood. And
Oh yeah, you can get a vampire facial.
Yeah.
See, my mind goes somewhere different than that.
Do not Google that.
Yeah, that could end badly.
At least turn on incognito mode before you do it.
That's your Agent Paranormal tip of the day.
Well, since we're doing this, I guess we should. No, go for it, Travi.
No, I was just going to expand on that. You know, it just, again, you know, you look at every folktale has a shred of truth. How is it that every culture has, you know, this belief in a being that drains life force or whatever, you know, going back to prehistory? So if every folktale is a shred of truth, where is it coming from? So
the oldest one that everybody knows is Vlad the Impaler, or actually Dracula.
Which it's a funny thing. Vlad Tepes, he got the name Dracula, which means son of the dragon, from his father, who was Dracul, which means the dragon. Yeah. That was a Christian-based group that they were.
Yep.
They protected the Christians in Europe from the Ottoman Empire. They were right in the middle in ancient Romania, Wallachia, and they were the line. They were the line in the sand.
Yep.
And he was actually abducted. Him, his father, and his brother Radu were abducted by the Ottomans. They let the father go, but they kept the sons. The Ottomans actually educated him and his brother. They tortured him and educated him. It was kind of a weird relationship, I guess. But, yeah, so he learned a lot of stuff from them.
Say the alphabet!
But, yeah. He's actually considered a hero in his native Romania. When he got away from the Ottomans, his father passed away, and he inherited, you know, I think he wasn't a viceroy, I forget. He was like a leader of Wallachia, Romania. But he was incredibly brutal. Like,
oh, yeah.
They called him the Impaler, and you see, like, the Dracula movie, Bram Stoker's Dracula and all that, and they just show heads on there. Well, he did that, but he also, that's not how we got
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would impale the person through their bottom body orifices, ram it through, and it would either come out the neck area or the mouth. But they were alive when he did it, and then they'd turn them up and put the stake in, and they'd sit there for hours or days until they passed away. In fact, they said they used to dull the points on the spears because a pointed spear would pierce the organs and kill them quicker. They want them to suffer. And he did that to not just the enemy soldiers. He did it to the villages that they raided. He did it to his political rivals. He invited all his political rivals when he first got that title as leader and brought them in. He knew there was going to be a fight to see who had the more power. And they came to this feast under the guise of, hey, we're having a celebration. And he impaled them all and put them up. So everyone knew that I'm the leader and you don't mess with me.
Yeah, he actually would set them up there. And there would be times where, like, if they were moving too slowly down it, he would tie rocks to their ankles
Yes,
to actually pull them down.
to make them, yeah. Yeah, and they said it took hours, if not days, for some of these people to pass away. So it was incredibly brutal, but everyone knew not to mess with Vlad, and he's considered a national... It was effective. He's a national hero in Romania.
Yep.
He has statues and parades and everything in his honor. So, I mean...
And now he's a legend.
Now he's a legend. And when Bram Stoker was researching the role for his book Dracula, obviously just the name alone he got from Vlad, but he did a lot of his background and said, "Wow, this is about the most brutal person I've ever heard of." So he based a lot of his fictional character Dracula on the actual person Vlad Tepes.
Yep.
So and if you go back, Romania, Russia area is kind of where the modern vampire belief came from, because like I said, everyone had like the proto-vampires, the pre-vampires. The utir is what they called it in Russia, is what turned into vampire, and that's where the belief came from. I believe it was about the 1400s when they came up with not just a rambling dead corpse, but a person that you could talk to that was a little debonair, maybe a little suave. That's where the belief of the modern take on the vampire came from. But Romania also has a legend of the vampire pumpkins, so I don't know how well we take that. So.
Wait, I've never heard of that. The vampire pumpkins?
Vampire pumpkins and gourds, yes. They weren't afraid of them because they didn't have teeth. They just roll around on the ground bumping into you. Can't make this stuff up. Yeah, they said the first sign they knew of pumpkin was going to be a vampire is if it'd start growling and making noises, and then it'd start kind of moving around, then it'd start rolling around on its own.
Of course. Why don't I know about this?
Yeah, well, I thought everyone knew about the vampire pumpkins of Romania.
I need some vampire pumpkins. It's like Halloween's gonna be lit this year because we're having vampire pumpkins. And I don't mean I'm gonna carve a vampire's face into them.
Yes.
You're gonna come over to the house and you're gonna just, oh my God, there's something bumping against my ankle. What is it? It's a vampire pumpkin.
It's just Vlad the pumpkin. Don't worry about him.
The sexy sax pumpkin in the corner. So, anything else, Travi? I mean, you're really sharing some awesome, fun history here. I want to know what else you know about.
Well, I mean, what do you want to talk about? We can talk about the Countess Elizabeth Bathory, who was, by her. You don't know Elizabeth Bathory? She was a countess. Well, yeah, she was a noblewoman, accused.
She was very noble.
Very noble. Accused of killing up to, by her accounts, 640 people. And supposedly she would kill young girls and women, preferably virgins, drain their blood and take a bath in their blood to retain her youth and beauty. There's accounts that say afterwards that it might not have been that way because she had relatives and stuff that wanted her possessions. So they said the bathing in blood was embellished to help get her not convicted. Because if she was convicted, then all her assets went to the state. So they arrested her under the guise of, bloodletting and walled her up in her castle where she lived for 4 years. They would only slide food and stuff under the doors for her to eat. And she lived in their castle for 4 years after that punishment and then finally passed away. But the legend is that, she took vampiric baths in the blood to retain her youth and beauty. And that's in line with vampires trying to be immortal. Why people would want to be vampires is for the immortality aspect of it. So
wow. Yeah, I did not know that. That's crazy. But I was serious about the vampire facial, though. That's a thing. You can get that
would you
professionally
stop
done.
talking about that?
It's a couple $100, but
I get it for $20 down in the corner here.
Oh my gosh. Oh gee.
Well, American vampires. There was a case of I forget the actual date, but it was a farmer, George Miller, I believe his name was. His whole family passed away. Well, was passing away. His wife Mary, his daughter Mary Olive, and his other daughter, Mercy, all passed away. They believe of TB or consumption. And it was in Rhode Island, Exeter, Rhode Island. And his son, Edwin, was wasting away. They sent him away. He was away for, I think, about 18 months. It wasn't working, the convalescence homes, whatever. Was homesick, knew he was passing away, wanted to come home. They brought him home, and the locals said, no, this is the work of a vampire. So they went to the cemetery where George's family was buried, and they dug up his wife, Mary, and it was all skin and bones. Okay. They dug up his first daughter, Mary Olive, dug her up, all skin and bones. Dug up the last daughter, Mercy, and she was laying on her side, still had blood in her veins and blood in her heart. The doctor that was present was saying, she's only been buried for a few months. This is kind of normal. Townsfolk said, nope, she's a vampire. They exhumed her. They ripped out her heart and her lungs, and then they burned her on a funeral pyre. They took those ashes, and they mixed them with some water and some alcohol, and they gave it to Edwin. That was a cure back then. Edwin took it, and 2 months later he died. But it's an actual account. It was written up, and as a vampire in America, right at the dawn of our nation and all that. So there's accounts here in fairly recent history of vampires in America and people acting upon it.
Like Abraham Lincoln.
Oh well, yeah. He was
Vampire hunter.
Vampire hunter. So
Yeah.
People don't know that about him.
yeah, a lot of people don't know that. They might have wrote a book or made a movie about it, but it wasn't well received. So.
So for anyone listening in, if you have any comments, questions, anything, go ahead, put them in the chat. Send us a comment, and we'll try to answer you as best as we can, or we'll have Travis do it for you.
Ooh, tell us your favorite vampire movies if we missed any.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Share your favorite movies.
Yeah.
We love
Yeah.
it. If there's a movie we haven't mentioned, maybe we haven't seen it, share it with us, because then we'll watch it. Because Steph has a lot of movies.
Yeah, she's got some
needs
catching up to do.
watch now.
Help us give Steph some
do.
homework on vampires.
Please help me.
So let's move on real quick, and let's start talking about vampiric spirits and vampiric psychic spirits.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of spirits out there that we know of and stuff like that. But then there's also the ones that actually drain energy. Everyone knows for the most part that ghosts and spirits use energy to manifest, and there are spirits that will take energy from you to do that. That's a very vampiric thing to do. There's also spirits who will attach themselves to people or attach themselves to objects in that they can move around. So they're not really stuck in one place.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a few cases where, like you said, you go in and there will be one dominant spirit. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to communicate through spirit box or whatever, portal or whatever we have. And that one spirit just keeps coming to the front. And we have to, okay, listen, we want to talk to someone else. And you can hear them, they're in the background, but it's not letting them through. Mm-hmm. It's dominating, and everyone likes to throw the big D word out, which is so incredibly rare. It's not funny, but yeah, like you said, the spirits are feeding off the energy of everyone else in the room, mm-hmm. the other spirits, everything, to try to manifest and communicate. It happens quite a bit, especially when you have more than one in an area that you're researching or investigating.
Yep. Absolutely. And it's, I mean, the one case that we have where there was actually a male dominant spirit that was holding back other spirits was actually the case of the Holbert House that we brought up numerous times, where John Zaffis was actually assisted by some of the female members of our group that gave deliverance to the little girl who was able to move on. Now, when we're saying vampiric spirits, we don't mean that these are actually ghosts of vampires. I just want to reiterate that. We are talking that they are doing vampiric things, as in they are feeding off your energy. They are not vampires. Silver steaks won't help you. Garlic won't help you. And inviting them into your house is not gonna stop them either. So they're already there.
Yeah. I actually came across a witchy tip. Don't have a welcome mat in front of your door because it welcomes entities to come into your house, apparently.
Witchy tip?
Oh, we don't have that.
Witchy tip.
Maeve, make sure that we have 2 welcome mats outside the house. One of them says, "This house is haunted," and the other one says, "Another glorious morning. It makes me sick."
Oh, yay.
Yep.
I want that one.
So those are out year round. That's not Halloween. They're at our door all year round.
Got the go away man up.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh my God. Well, somebody on the Agent Paranormal site said, "Travis, tell us more about this Big D."
I'm really not
we're talking about vampiric facials.
I'm not really the agent to talk to about big D's.
So, I don't want to throw the warning up again, so we're gonna move on past that comment.
Hi.
Sweet. So, Courtney, what do you know about vampiric spirits or anything like that? I know you said that you've never really heard of them.
I have not. Also, you called me Courtney.
Yeah. Oh
I
my
caught
God,
that.
I am so sorry.
I caught that. I was gonna let it slide.
Courtney's
I was
gonna
not.
yell at me
I will
too.
never. I will never. I don't know much about psychic vampires.
I'm looking at the screen that has your sister's name right here in front of me. So I know it's not my defense, but it's my defense.
Whatever. It's funny. I probably didn't actually think of like a psychic vampire because like I consider myself empathic. So I'm always taking on other people's energies anyway and always kind of feeling the weight when someone walks into the room. So I chalk it up to a Debbie Downer, not a vampire, but I'm definitely gonna be more aware.
Well, that's one of the theories about psychic vampires is they're usually pretty strong empaths that don't realize that they're empaths.
Yep.
'Cause it's not a conscious thing. Most of the time people are doing it don't realize it. I think most people that know that they're empaths know how to control what they're feeling and how they're feeling. It's the people that don't know that they're empaths all of a sudden are draining everyone around them.
These are great points that, bringing in empaths on this. I mean, now Maeve's going to be mad at me that I didn't let her come and do the show. But, yeah, I mean, oh my God, it's got to be Pete on the Agent Paranormal thing. He just posted, "Team Alice and vampires do sparkle."
Team Alice.
But yes, empaths. I mean, that is also a very big vampiric trait. I mean, you're taking energy from people, not necessarily in a bad way.
No.
I do know that Maeve has helped me a lot through a lot of emotional situations in which she takes all of that emotional energy off me to kind of give me relief. But it's not like it's helping her. I mean, it's actually affecting her.
Right, she takes it on, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Yeah. I remember we were talking about empaths once on an episode. Yeah, she was... The way she was, like, I don't know, just her ability is, like, amazing. But, yeah, it's, with every ability comes, like, responsibility and that burden of just, like, you want to help other people, but you're giving a part of yourself every time you try to help other people. It's, like, the catch-22, I guess.
But I guess the one thing that we got to be careful of is, empaths are... I don't want to say that they're fully capable, like, mediums and such like that. They have the ability to transfer this energy, but you got to be careful that it's the same thing with vampires. You can't welcome everything in, because if you're trying to take energy from somebody and they have a really negative energy, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Or something attached to them.
Yep.
Yeah, if you have, like you said, a spiritual vampire, something attached to them, and you're taking that negative energy, well, then you're hoovering up that psychic vampire's energy also.
Yep.
I mean, is there like symptoms to like look out for if you're like around an energy vampire or psychic vampire or anything that's like...
Yeah, you're going to feel tired. You're going to have headaches. You're going to feel out of sorts. Just, Like your energy's being drained.
Okay, so children are all psychic vampires.
Oh, they're just vampires in general. Money, time, energy. They got it all. But yeah.
So I guess like another thing too is like what would we do to like kind of protect ourselves from that? Because like I think of like a white light around me and sort of like this wall, and that's kind of how I do it. But
no, and if that's your belief and you can do that, absolutely. That's one of the things you can do. Selenite, different rose quartz. There's different crystals that you can use to help even that out. Remove yourself from the situation. If you're in a room with somebody and whether they know it or not and you're not feeling right, remove yourself. See how that makes you feel. If you get away from somebody and you start feeling better, well, whether they know it or not, they might be draining your energy. So, that's probably the best way to do it is just remove yourself from the situation.
Yeah. I know we did work on a case that Maeve actually came in for the original consult, and we ended up doing like 2 consults with this family and 1 investigation, and it turned out it wasn't paranormal in the least. It was all survivor's guilt and stuff like that. We've talked about this one before as well. But after that first initial consult where Maeve was there, like I told a lot of people this. We came home, we had an argument, and it was because she tried to take some of that anger away, and it didn't go over well. And after that, Maeve just kind of said, yep, I'm not going back to that house. Yep, I'm going to take myself out of that one. And
that was the best way to protect herself, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I do have to say, the argument was not over anything that had to do with that. I'm pretty sure it was an argument over something stupid. That, like, I don't know, washing dishes or something. And it was just like, it was so out of character.
What, for you to do dishes?
What's that?
So out of character for you to do dishes?
Now you sound like her.
You're taking her side. But no, we can get, and above and beyond, if you look at just protecting yourself against vampires, historical vampires, again, everything has a shred of truth. Most myths, there's a couple of things they use. Garlic is, believe it or not, in most myths. Doesn't matter where it comes from. Garlic is one of the things. Wild roses, hawthorn trees, most things that salt, anything purifying, anything that can be used against witchcraft is generally you can use it against vampires.
I do have to say, garlic didn't work in Lost Boys.
No, but the holy water did.
The holy water worked, yes. Blessed
objects. But another thing is, just like Fright Night, you have to have faith, and you have to use, to kind of steal a phrase from a friend of ours from Hinsdale there, Casey. You have to use the right magic, the right medicine. If you're dealing with a Native American thing, you're not going to be able to use Christian symbols because it's not going to work because they're not going to know what it is and they don't care. You have to use the right medicine. You have to find out what you're dealing with and use the right approach.
Yeah.
Yep. I guess. Oh my gosh, Pete is going nuts on the Agent Paranormal.
He should have been here then.
I got the 6 demon bag from Egg Chan. The snacks were good, and the freshest tomato. Oh, that was from that case. The freshest tomatoes ever.
The 6 demon bag, that was from Big Trouble in Little China.
Yep. But the snacks were good, and the freshest tomato ever. That Pete, with any kind of house that we go to and investigate that hands out snacks. That's how Pete remembers it, is by what they gave us for snacks while we were there.
The place was possessed, but it was the best dang chocolate chip cookie I ever had.
All right, well, I think that's pretty much all that we have for tonight. We're going to cut out a little bit early, but it was good to actually be back here at Disruption Network, get back going.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great having Steph here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
We actually get to see Steph again. Call her Courtney and get yelled at. But we're hoping to keep these shows going. Again, if you have any ideas of shows that you want us to do, any topics you want us to talk about, reach out, leave us a a message here, send us a message on Facebook, anything, okay? Just let us know. We want to say a big thank you to Disruption Network again for having us on. And also, again, big thank you to all of the staff and everything from the fest this weekend, the Sci-Fi and Horror Fest at
Awesome
Vernon
time.
Downs Hotel and Casino. It was a great time. Our friends at Scope out of Syracuse, as well as Spectres out of Binghamton, and Wildwood Sanitarium. It was great getting to know you all, and we hope we can work with you soon. Again, if you need any help in that area, Scope in Syracuse, you can reach out to them. Spectres in Binghamton, you can reach out to them. But until next time, I guess this is it for Agent Paranormal here. So I guess we'll scare you later.
Bye.